Good afternoon, everyone. I see folks joining us. We'll wait a few minutes just as people keep filing in. All right, looks like we're at a relatively steady number. Welcome everybody to the first in a month-long webinar series for community college students. We are really excited to be able to speak with you all and share information about Berkeley engineering. As much as we'd love to do it in person, we're happy to have the opportunity to reach students from all over the state. Today's presentation is about why Berkeley engineering and the secrets to transfer admission. You can turn on closed captioning if you'd like it by hitting the closed captioning button on the bottom of your screen. You should see it with the CC. And I just want to highlight that we will be having webinar series all month. So you can register for future webinars by going to engineering.berkeley.edu/cc. We'll get started in just a minute. We will be using the FAQ option today, which you should see at the bottom, sorry, Q&A option at the bottom of your screen if you have questions. We have a lot of information to get through and we want to respect your time. So we will save the questions until the end and try to get through as many as possible. So please forgive us for not interrupting the presentation. You can upvote questions that you also have by going to the Q&A option and hitting the little thumbs up. And we'll address the questions that have the most thumbs up. We won't be using the chat feature today. All right, well, without any further ado, I'm really excited to introduce two superstars in the College of Engineering. We have Marvin Lopez, or Dr. Marvin, as I call him. He's our Director of Student Programs for Engineering Student Services, and Sharon Mueller, the Director of Advising and Policy for Engineering Student Services. These are two powerhouses here to talk to you about why Berkeley engineering and what our transfer admissions process looks like. Thank you both for being here with us. Marvin, do you want to take it away?
Yes, and thank you, Nicole, for that amazing introduction. I'm not used to that kind of introduction, so I'm digesting it still, but thank you all for being here, and thank you for taking the time to join us and learn about why and what it means to become a Berkeley engineer. So before I tell you a little bit about us and Berkeley, let's play a little video that I think you'll enjoy.
What happens here isn't magic. It just feels that way because there is no telling what will occur when people, unsatisfied with the way things are, have the courage to imagine a better way and the freedom to turn what could be into what will. That takes bold thinking, disruptive ideas, and an amazing array of perspectives, people, and intellectual pursuits. But it's hard to capture something that won't stand still. That's Berkeley.
Berkeley.
Built by the people, for the people. Founded and forever inspired by those who had an unstoppable drive to build a new state on the western edge. We embraced the radical idea of a public university and never looked back. Hundreds of thousands of lives changed for people who then go out and change the lives of millions more in our state, our nation, and the world. That's Berkeley. Taking on today's biggest challenges. A revolutionary treatment for malaria? Check. Unlocking the secrets of the universe? Been there. Preserving Mark Twain for prosperity? Done that. We are always one step ahead. And sometimes that step is too big for words alone to describe. We express. We interpret. We reach further. We celebrate. And we are celebrated for our long tradition of untraditional excellence. Driven by a deep desire to do better, to do good. That's Berkeley. Life-shaping, world-changing, future-building.
Berkeley.
Berkeley.
Berkeley. Berkeley.
Berkeley.
Berkeley.
All right. Thank you very much. And I really enjoyed that video, and not least of all because it always has the Nobel ceremony, as you saw, of another faculty receiving an award, and yet and amazingly just today another faculty was announced as the Nobel Prize recipient, Professor Reinhard Genzel in physics. So what you saw there is happening live, is happening today. So it's not just marketing. Advancements and Berkeley's recognition as the preeminent university in the world is happening right now. So thank you again for taking the time to come see us and learn about Berkeley engineering. As Nicole mentioned, my name is Marvin Lopez, and I'm Director of Student Programs and Engineering Student Services. And I and my colleague and dear friend Sharon Mueller, who's Director of Advising and Policy, will tell you not only how cool Berkeley engineering is, but how to get here as a transfer student, as a community college student from throughout California. So let's get started. Our mission in the College of Engineering is really straightforward and very simple, and it's really three-part. One is educating leaders. So what we do in the College of Engineering and what we aim to do is educate not just engineers, but leaders in your field, leaders who are at the forefront of the profession, who are pushing the envelope of the profession, as you saw from the video and as I mentioned, the Nobel Prize celebration. We create knowledge. We are a research institution, the preeminent research engineering institutions, and what that means is that our students and you, when you get here, you will be creating knowledge and working with leading edge professors and creating leading edge knowledge. And we serve society, and it's something that I think is particularly unique to Berkeley in that students have a passion for making a difference, and we instill that and celebrate that and facilitate that. And so this is our three-part mission that we are part of and surrounded by every day. To Nicole's point, we are unfortunately not physically there, seeing it in person, but it is still there, and that ethos and that passion is still there. And we hope that to not only all of us, but all of you will be there physically soon. We, within the College of Engineering, we're a relatively small college. The College of Engineering within the campus is actually relatively small. So we are 3,950 undergraduates in 11 single majors and 11 minors across 8 departments, which are bioengineering, civil and environmental engineering, electrical engineering, computer sciences, industrial engineering and operations research, material science and engineering, mechanical engineering, and nuclear engineering, which are the distinct departments, plus engineering, energy engineering, engineering math and statistics, engineering physics, and environmental engineering, which are cross-discipline and cross, what we call the engineering sciences majors that are cross-department and cross-discipline. Part of it, at the heart of what Berkeley does is promote and create innovation, solutions to all kinds of problems in the world and all kinds of problems in society. Not the least of all is the current pandemic that we're dealing with and working through. There's lots of initiatives that are happening right now to address the COVID pandemic. But there's been a history, and there is a history of innovation and opportunities to pursue and explore innovation through many initiatives and many institutions within the College of Engineering, and you see some of these here. The Sutarja Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology is a multidisciplinary center where you can explore and learn how to be an entrepreneur and how to develop yourself as an entrepreneur and pursue your idea, literally from ideation to a startup, to an actual IPO. The Jacobs Design Institute for Design Innovation is an actual building that will be open again when we all get back to campus, that instills design and everything engineering, and in particular that instills design in a cross-discipline approach, where engineers and professionals and students from other parts of campus, architect, biology, and even the social sciences, come and instill design into engineering solutions and more. Find the next slide. We have 233 faculty, of which you see some of the numbers here. Berkeley, as I like to say, Berkeley by the numbers. 82 are endowed chairs and distinguished professors. 75 are members of the Academy of Engineering, which is essentially the Hall of Fame of engineering. 37 are recipients of the Distinguished Teaching Award, which is an award given to faculty and instructors on the campus, chosen by the students. So our faculty are not just great researchers, but they're also great teachers, and they care about teaching. And I know many of them personally who I know have a passion for not just their field, but for students. And 4 are recipients of the Turing Award in computer science, which for those of you from the computer science background, are essentially the Oscars of computer science. In terms of financial aid and the profile of our students, you heard in the video that the transformative nature of Berkeley and the social mobility that we instill. 60% of our students of the college, of the campus, receive financial aid. We have more Pell Grant students here at Berkeley than all the Ivy Leagues combined. And 23% of the households or students come from households with incomes lower than $45,000, which means that we are making a difference in literally transforming lives and social mobility and instilling a passion for moving forward. In terms of 5 years, I know you're thinking, well, I'm not even there yet. Why am I thinking of 5th year master's? This is something that I think many of our students, and in particular community college transfer students, take advantage of and think about coming in from day one. And these are the 5th year master's programs, which are 1-year programs, professional centric programs that are either focused on in your particular major or through the Fung Institute for Engineering Leadership. And so what we call the MS, the 5th year program, that's an MS program in your department, and many of the departments that offer that is literally a continuation of your BS. It happens immediately after your BS, and it's only for Berkeley students to give you that 1-year master's that prepares you for industry. It gives you that additional set of knowledge for industry. And then the Fung Institute MEng program, the Master's in Engineering, which is again a 1-year professional degree program that's a little broader and a little more management and executive centric, but and also not necessarily after your 5th year or after your BS. These are both great opportunities to pursue and continue expanding your knowledge within the field. As I mentioned at the beginning, and as Nicole mentioned, both Sharon and I are part of Engineering Student Services, which is the unit in the department within the College of Engineering that lives for one purpose, and that is your success, our student success. Or as we like to say, you can't spell success without ESS. Because what we do and what drives us is our student success. And we do it by providing services in a number of ways. We provide, above all, academic support. We have an amazing world-class team of academic advisors that Sharon will tell you a little bit more about, that work individually with our students throughout their 2 or 4 years here to make sure that they're on track with their major, their degrees, and changes and challenges that as they arise are addressed in a timely manner. And we are known on campus for having, I'll dare say, for having a world-class team that supports our students all the time and very selflessly. We provide professional development, and we have a suite of opportunities around ensuring that you have the knowledge and the tools that you need to pursue industry and professional opportunities. We, of course, when we're in person, we have things like the etiquette dinner you see in the top left, where you learn how to navigate a banquet, the etiquette, the cupcakes and headshots, where you get a cupcake, and a professional headshot for your profiles, for your LinkedIn profile and such. We partner closely with the Career Center, which you see there on the bottom right, for a number of workshops on LinkedIn, resume writing, interview preparation and such. And we also do preparation for career fairs, which are now all virtual. And I should say that all that we offer currently has been migrated to a virtual platform. So all our advising, all our tutoring, everything we offer is available remotely. And even things like, say, maybe like the etiquette dinner, which you can't do remotely, but career fairs and professional opportunities are still happening remotely. We also offer leadership development. So we realize that it's not just about academics, It's also about leadership and being a leader. As we saw, the mission is educating leaders. So we offer a number of programs that supports our students to explore and develop their passion as leaders. So we have things like Leadership on the top right, which is a retreat up in the Redwoods that we offer every winter, except of course, sadly, this winter, where students spend 6 days to think deeply about what it means to be an engineering leader. And for transfer students, for community college transfer students, I would dare say that we offer and that we endeavor to offer a really deep portfolio of programs to really engender community. Part of what we do in both advising and the program side that I run is what we call the 4 C's, is building a sense of community, first of all. Building a sense of collaboration and working together and teaching each other. Creating or engendering or imparting a capital, the cultural professional capital to navigate both Berkeley and the professional world. And ultimately the confidence to achieve all the great things that you want to achieve in the world and make that difference that you all aspire to make. And we do that with programs like the Transfer Pre-Engineering Program, which is a 3-week, normally residential program on campus that prepares you and gives you essentially a leg up on the fall semester right before it begins, and helps you build a community so that when you arrive on campus, you're not alone and you feel like there's 60 other students that you already know and form your community. Not just for your rival, but for the 2, 4 or 5 semesters that you'll be on campus. When things don't go so well, and things sometimes don't go so well, and Berkeley is rigorous and sometimes it's stressful, we offer psychological services and counseling so that to help you address any questions that may come up. And we have normally somebody in the office, in a satellite office from our University Health Services, who are now available remotely. So everything, as I said, that we offer is available remotely. And Christine, both Dr. Zhao and Dr. Janae Jackson, who has recently joined us, are available to ensure that any challenges that you're all facing can be addressed in a timely manner. And a high percentage of transfer students we know do pursue graduate school and go on to graduate school. So Mel Tamero, our Director of Graduate Outreach, works with all of you as undergrads to prepare you and guide you through the process of achieving graduate school or of getting to graduate school through programs like Graduate Preview Days and the Pathways to STEM conference to prepare you for the process of getting to graduate school, which, as you know, as a transfer student, you have to get to pretty closely and pretty quickly. So she and all of us will guide you through that process. How do you find out about all these great things? We have a number of avenues. Above all, the newsletter. We have a newsletter that goes out every single Monday afternoon with anything and everything that we offer in the college. Upcoming workshops, presentations, company visits, scholarships. If it exists, it's in the newsletter. If it's not in the newsletter, it doesn't exist. And if you didn't read it in the newsletter, you'll miss out. We also have podcasts to impart the same and to share the same knowledge with our students and actually the broader community on a regular basis on a number of topics which have become actually very popular. So what does it mean to be at Berkeley? And it's great that all these great numbers that you heard, the rankings and the Nobel Prizes and such, but what does that mean? It means a few things. It means that you're able to connect above all. And even in this remote context, our students are very diligent in ensuring that there's community and that you work together. But it means that you get to connect with amazing students like yourselves. Everybody at Berkeley is the top of the top of where they come from. You get to connect with amazing faculty, as you heard from Nobel Prize winners, and you get to connect with amazing staff that care and are here to support you and make sure that you succeed. You get to innovate and build amazing solutions to all kinds of problems. There's clubs, decals, and other avenues for you to explore the idea of innovation and how you solve problems that no one had thought of solving before. And ultimately, you get to explore the world. Obviously, down the road, that'll be an opportunity. But basically, you get to explore not just the world, but ultimately yourself and what makes you tick and what drives you to do the things you want to do as an engineer. So that is a little more about Berkeley itself, not just the College of Engineering. There's a number of opportunities for exploring your life outside of engineering and outside of math and physics and differential equations. There's things like Cal Adventures to explore the Bay Area the recreational sports facility, which offers classes in just about anything, the Memorial Stadium, where we normally have football games, as you know, and other events. There's residential halls and theme housing if you're looking to explore specific identities and you want to be surrounded by those that have a particular identity that you care about. There's programs like WISE, the Women in Science and Engineering, the Global Environment Theme House, the Casa Magdalena Mora for a Chicano Latino theme program, and others that explore that intersection of identity in a housing environment. Decals are a really cool way of learning a subject that you may not know anything about or that you may be curious about. And DECAL stands for Democratic Education at Cal. And these are literally classes, small classes that are taught by students, by other students. And they range everything from the sort of esoteric to the profound. And here you see the class on the left where you can learn to play the campanile bells, which are actual bells that you can learn how to play through a teacher or another student that knows how to play the bells. Or you can explore bioprinting techniques and technologies on the right, and everything in between. There's everything from salsa lessons to social justice to anything that you're interested in, robotics, through a decal approach. And if it's something you want to share, there's an opportunity for you to be a decal teacher as well. So you're thinking, wow, this is amazing. It's what I heard, but even more, sign me up. How do I get there? So for that, I will turn it over to, again, my colleague and dear friend, Sharon Mueller, who would tell us all about how to get here as a transfer student. Sharon?
Thank you, Marvin. So as Nicole mentioned, I'm the Director of Advising and Policy in Engineering Student Services, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about transfer admissions and our admissions process. We can go to the next slide, Marvin. Thank you. So what are the secrets about admission? Well, we really don't have any secrets. We want to be transparent about our process. We use the same screening for all transfer applicants, regardless of major in the College of Engineering. But it is important to keep in mind that you do need to apply to the major in engineering that you want, because we don't allow transfer students to change their major within engineering. So what are those criteria? So you must have at least 60 transferable semester units. You need a minimum 3.0 overall GPA to apply. But I will say that in engineering, we have been cutting it off at 3.5 for the past 5 or 6 years now. Having said that, however, I want to encourage students whose overall GPA might be below 3.5, who perhaps had a rough start, but they have an upward trend once they figured out what they want to do. We encourage you to email esstransferadmissions@berkeley.edu. We want to make sure that we can pull your application out and review it if that applies to you. So please don't be shy about reaching out to us. Our applicants do need to complete 100% of the required courses prior to transferring. In a little bit, I'll show you what that looks like in Assist. And students are encouraged to take as many strongly recommended articulated courses as possible so that they are stronger candidates for admission and also better prepared for succeeding in the upper division courses. So as I mentioned, and this is key, students must have 100% of the courses completed that are listed under the required section in Assist. And they have to be completed by the end of the spring semester prior to fall start. So let's say you're applying this November to start in fall 2021. That means those courses must be completed by the end of spring 2021. We will not count summer courses. So getting those done by the end of spring is key. And it's critical for you to check assist.org for your intended major to make sure that you're getting all of the required courses that you need. So here's our examples. So these, you can see at the top there, I've circled required courses for admission. These are the ones I'm talking about. And these are the ones that have to be completed by the end of spring before your fall start. And I want to point out, sometimes you'll see that one course at Berkeley, so in this example, The UC Berkeley courses are listed on the left and the community college courses listed on the right. You might see, for instance, that there are 2 community college courses that equal 1 course at Berkeley. It's really important, if you see this, that you take both of those courses at the same community college. We don't allow splitting of this. So for instance, in this case, you would need to take both Physics 4B and 4C at this school in order to fulfill the required course of Physics 7B. But I do want to point out the one exception we make to that is for Math 54, which at Berkeley is 1 course that covers linear algebra and differential equations. But in many community colleges, it's actually split out into 1 course for linear algebra and 1 course for differential equations. And because that's so common, we will actually be fine with you taking one of those at one community college and the other at a different community college, as long as you're taking linear algebra at one and differential equations at the other. That's the exception where we are willing to put those 2 together and say, yes, you've completed Math 54. And so here's an example of the strongly recommended courses. This is an example for someone who wants to transfer into civil engineering. So I want to point out that it's not uncommon for you just not to see that there's an articulation for the course. Don't worry about that. It's very common. But I do, perhaps we could go to the next slide, Marvin. Thank you. So some community colleges, you might actually notice that none of the strongly recommended courses is articulated at your school. And that's okay. We understand that that was a limitation for you and that you weren't able to complete any of them. And to the next slide, thank you. But I will say, please do look at the top of the assist articulation. There's a lot of text there. I know it's quite a bit to read through. But you'll see here in this example for civil engineering, it does say that if there are no articulations for these strongly recommended courses, we do recommend, if your school does offer a course in statics and a course in computer programming, for civil engineering, those would actually be really helpful. So we do encourage you to take more courses, even if they're not articulated, because those are still preparing you for your major. Okay, so that's sort of the courses and the expectations as far as the academics go. But we're also really interested in any activities and awards or scholarships and programs. We do a holistic review, so it's not just about the courses and the grades. But I will say that we really want you to focus on the activities and programs you've done during community college, not during high school, but during community college. And there are sections in the application where you can list these types of activities, but we really would enjoy reading more about it in your personal statements as well. So if we see that you've listed that you had the opportunity to complete an internship, it would be great if you could spend some time in one of your personal insight questions to expand upon that and tell us a little bit more about that. So in the personal statements, you have to answer 4 questions. This first question, everybody has to answer. And that just gives us a sense of why did you pick the major that you chose? And then you have a choice of 7 additional questions, and you just have to answer 3 of them. And you can answer any 3. We don't have a preference for which 3 you answer. We really want you to answer the ones that are most relevant to you and that you think could give us more a sense of your story. And what's really important, because you can't change your major in engineering, we really want to see that you have a passion for your major. And that could be shown in many ways. It could be shown in your participation in clubs at your school. Have you participated in any entrepreneurial activities on your own? Have you had the opportunity to do any research or an internship? Don't worry if you haven't, because we recognize this. It's unusual for students to have research and internships. So don't worry if you don't. But if there are clubs you can join, anything that you can show us in your application that you're passionate about your major and you really understand what your major is all about and what do you plan to do with your major is also really helpful for us to read about. So here are some websites that you might find helpful. We have a College of Engineering undergraduate guide, and it's really a guide for our students, but you might find it very helpful because in there are the 4-year plans for all students and the transfer plan for students. So transfer students are given 5 semesters to complete their degree in engineering. And we've laid those out sort of assuming that you've done the minimum requirements for admission. So you can kind of see what it looks like to be a transfer student in Berkeley and what your course loads will look like through the semesters. And then there are, similarly, that we have degree worksheets, and that's not a semester by semester plan. It's more of a list of the courses that you need to have to graduate. Many of those you will come in with, like all the math and the physics. You will come in with those from community college, but you can see all the upper division courses. It's kind of a quick snapshot of all the requirements that you would need for your particular major. And then each of the departments have their own websites as well with loads of information for students in their departments and in their majors. And you can link to those from engineering.berkeley.edu. So I encourage you to peruse those as well. And these are some resources. Marvin mentioned some of these earlier. The Not So Secret Guide to Being a Berkeley Engineer is our podcast. We do have one on admissions that you might be interested in listening to. And if you just go to Welcome Engineer with just 1e.berkeley.edu, that will connect you to the podcast. You can see all of the archived episodes. Most of them are 20 to 30 minutes long. They're not terribly long. We have some with current students as well, so you get a sense of the student experience as well. Our general Berkeley Engineering website is engineering.berkeley.edu. There is a lot to peruse there as well. Marvin and I work in engineering student services, and we are at engineering.berkeley.edu/ESS. And you might want to look at the Berkeley admissions website as well, which is admissions.berkeley.edu. And then in the College of Engineering, we also have some information about admissions and what we're looking for in our students as well. So that's on our website, engineering.berkeley.edu/admissions. All right, and I think I'm turning it over to Nicole to talk about upcoming webinars.
Yes, thank you, Sharon. We have lots of questions, and I'm glad that we have plenty of time to get to them. But I wanted to quickly plug our upcoming webinars. They may address some of your questions that y'all are asking in the Q&A. Next Tuesday at the same time, we'll be hearing from Dr. Matthew Sherburne, who is a professor in the Material Science and Engineering Department. He is a former transfer student from ARC who had another career and decided to go back to school and ultimately got his PhD and is now a professor at Berkeley. So he's going to speak about his experience transferring and give you advice about how to get involved on campus once matriculated, and also how to participate in undergraduate research. And I have no doubt that that information will be helpful to you wherever you decide to transfer. Next Friday, we will be having an info session about the Industrial Engineering and Operations Research major, IEOR, and that will be on Friday at 4 p.m. And if I could get the next slide. And then in 2 weeks from today, we'll have a transfer student panel where new and continuing transfer students will speak about their experience. And you can ask them questions like, how did you pick a major? Why did you choose Berkeley? What internships do you do, etc. And then finally, the last one I'll speak about right now is a presentation on finding research opportunities as a community college student. We'll be having on Thursday, the 22nd. And this will talk about the Transfer to Excellence program, which is a science research program for community college students. And we'll also talk about other options for people besides CTE. So you can register for those and the other webinars we'll be having at engineering.berkeley.edu/CC. Tracy, maybe you could put that in the chat. Some of your questions right now are really major specific, and we work for the college. We are not the major departments, and so some of them just aren't the best option for us to speak. I would recommend you to attend the major session and ask your questions directly to the civil engineering department, for example. So yeah, we really hope that you will join us for future webinars. The rest will be a little less formal and a little more discussion based. But unless Sharon and Marvin have more to add, maybe we can do some Q&A.
Sure.
Awesome. I'm going to ask the ones that are kind of the most relevant and the most common. If we don't get to your question, I really encourage you, if you're able, to look in Google. You know, none of us are trying to hide information, and a lot of this information is available online, but we might not be the best people to speak to specifically. If your question is really specific to you, I took a class at this school and I did this and now I want to take that, or I want to repeat a course, I would encourage you to email us because this is not the most appropriate venue to have advising conversations. So this is a really common question and it's got 23 upvotes. You say that 60 credits are transferable, Sharon, but if I were to take all the required courses at my community college, I'd end up with 80 plus units. So how does that work?
Right. So actually 60 semester units are the minimum, 60 transferable, that's the minimum, but you can actually transfer up to 70 units from community college. Yes, it's very common for our transfer students to have more than 70 units just because there are a lot of required courses. So while the university will limit the units to 70, we will continue to allow course credit for all courses taken at community college. So there's no limit to how those courses can be applied. Does that make sense? So if you take, say, the equivalent of Physics 7B, and you're already at 70 units, we're going to say you've done Physics 7B, but the university will limit you at 70 units for the number.
Got it. So you can't come in and say, I've already completed 200 units, give me my degree.
Right, right. Unfortunately, no.
Okay. If a student completes IGETC, which is the general education requirement for many colleges and many departments, does that negatively impact the transfer admissions for the Berkeley engineering majors?
I wouldn't say it negatively impacts, but there is a big thing to watch out for. In IGETC, as I understand it, there's a reading and composition course, and then the second English course is not necessarily the equivalent to English R1B. So it's a critical thinking, I believe, is the category. And that course is not necessarily the equivalent of English R1B. We do require that students complete both the equivalent of English R1A and English R1B. So sometimes we see students who have followed IGETC who do not have English R1B, and that immediately disqualifies them for admission to Berkeley. So that's the only thing I could think of that it could be a little bit of a catch for students who are following IGETC, just to keep that in mind, that they do have to make sure they fulfill English R1B as well.
So it sounds like having the IGETC certificate does not harm your chances. You just need to be really sure that you're taking the right classes on assist.
Right, right. Okay.
Sorry, Marvin, I feel like a lot of these are for Sharon.
That's all right. That's okay. I'll stand by here just in case.
Will LinkedIn profiles be considered for transfer?
No. We have, unfortunately, we have a very short window within which to review many hundreds of applications. And so we don't go beyond the application. Whatever a student has provided to us in the application is all we're going to have. So if they can be as thorough and inclusive of all of their experiences in the application, that would be best.
Awesome.
If I can offer something, Nicole, from my perspective and coming from industry, I'm glad that you have that question in mind, because don't neglect your LinkedIn profile. So don't think that, oh, because it's not needed for admissions, I don't have to worry about it. LinkedIn and your profile in LinkedIn itself as a tool is critical for opportunities, for connections, for referrals, for jobs. So once you get here and wherever you may go, you will rely on it. So don't think, oh, I don't need it for that. Just, ignore it. Don't. So
Yeah.
it just doesn't help. It's not part of the admissions process, but it is part of your professional development that you should always be on top of. So
In fact, Marvin leads a LinkedIn workshop for our students.
I
So
do. Thank
yes,
you.
we just don't have the opportunity to use it during admissions, but yes,
That's right.
don't neglect it.
And in normal times, you get a cupcake with that LinkedIn workshop, just not this for the time being. But yes, we do lead a workshop on that. Thank you. Nicole?
Okay. Can transfer students take minors? And can they do minors outside of their college?
They can, yes. So students, all students, freshmen or transfer students, can pursue a minor if they wish, and they can pursue any minor offered at the university. The only caveat is we don't allow extra time for a student to complete a minor, so they would still need to complete it within their 5 semesters. But most minors are maybe 4 or 5 upper division courses. There might be 1 or 2 prereq courses as well. So often students are able to fit that in.
Awesome. What about a double major, both as a College of Engineering student looking to do a double major, or maybe as an LNS or another college student looking to double major in engineering?
Okay, so for transfer students, we do not allow students who've applied to another college to transfer into Berkeley as a transfer student. So you got to start in engineering if you want to pursue a major in another college. There are other colleges, I believe Haas School of Business and College of Chemistry also don't allow transfer students to transfer into their colleges. But let's say a student wants to have a major in engineering, will then apply to that major in engineering, and then you can apply, it's actually called a simultaneous degree when you're pursuing 2 majors in 2 different colleges. So as long as the student has been admitted to engineering, they can apply for a simultaneous degree in another college, most commonly in the College of Letters and Science. And actually for students who are in a simultaneous degree, they are allowed to have 1 extra semester. So transfer students could have then 6 semesters to complete both degrees.
Awesome, thank you. There are multiple questions about these units again, so I just want to revisit. People are saying, if I have over 90 units, will I still have a chance of being accepted if I exceed them? So just to reiterate, if they're from a California community college, you will still be eligible.
Right. It becomes a problem if the units are from 4-year universities. But if they're community college units, then students don't need to worry. There is no maximum.
Awesome. Someone would like to know about the difference between computer science and electrical engineering. Are you all okay if I speak about that quickly?
Please do.
I used to be the lead advisor for these majors. So they're 2 really great majors. The computer science degree is offered by the College of Letters and Sciences, and it's a liberal arts degree. And you get a Bachelor of Arts. The electrical engineering and computer science degree is offered by the College of Engineering, which is what we're talking about today, and it's a Bachelor of Science. The technical courses you take in computer science and electrical engineering are the same for both programs. You're in the same classroom with the same instructors, and those requirements look very similar. And in both programs, you can choose, I really want to focus in computer science, or I want to take more courses in electrical engineering. So don't let the names deceive you. What's different is the general education courses. So in engineering, you have to take more technical courses. You get to take physics and multivariable calculus. In the computer science degree in letters and science, the general education requirements are more broad, and it requires you to explore a greater depth of subjects. Another difference is the admissions process. If you are applying to the electrical engineering and computer science degree in the College of Engineering, you get admitted directly to the major. So we look at your application and we make sure you have the classes needed for the major, and you get to Berkeley as an electrical engineering and computer science major. In the College of Letters and Sciences, because they have this spirit of exploration and discovery, you get admitted undeclared. And then to declare the computer science degree, you have to complete the first 3 courses with a B+ average to become declared in the major. So there's a little bit more uncertainty about, you know, will you meet that GPA requirement? If not, because, you know, your own intelligence, but things happen, especially in the times of COVID, computers crash, people get sick. So just keep that in mind, that for the computer science degree, you actually get admitted to the university undeclared, and you need to get a B+ average in your first 3 classes to declare the major. The EECS department can meet with prospective students. So if you have more questions or want to figure out which is the best choice for you, I think that would be a really great option for you, and you can go to their website. That's my spiel. Okay. Could either of you speak about scholarships? The specific question is, does Berkeley offer full ride scholarships for transfer students? And can you receive scholarships to the 5th-year master's programs?
I can probably speak to the scholarship part a little bit more. I hear weird feedback on my side. So we do have, you know, part of what my team administers is scholarships for all students, right? For transfer students and freshmen, and really at all stages of their career. And sometimes we do get opportunities and programs from donors or companies that do offer, you know, full rides, as you say, or, you know, really robust scholarships. So it depends from year to year what donors bring or what programs we have. You know, so there, I can't say that we, at the moment, I don't recall that we have a particular scholarship that's specifically a full ride transfer student scholarship, but we do have a number of scholarships that for transfer students, and very often we get donors and other partners who are very particular about supporting transfer students. So we do have scholarships that you can apply to once you arrive on campus. So we're typically not before you get here. And of course, the financial aid will work closely with all of you in crafting a financial aid package to address your financial needs. So that there's that piece. On the master's side, I will venture to say, and then this is maybe Sharon and Nicole might know a little bit better, that that is handled by the individual department once you apply and get accepted into the specific either 5th year or MEng program. That is outside of what we do in engineering student services, because we focus on the undergrad side. So, but I believe that there are scholarships and financial resources for the 5th year programs in each of the departments and the MEng program for the Fung Institute. Hopefully that helps answer that question.
Awesome, thank you. We also have some questions about extracurriculars for the application process. Sorry to jump around. One I really want to highlight is folks who are doing jobs and wanting to know, you know, I can't do student clubs because I'm working full-time. How do I talk about that in my application? And do jobs fall into the activities category?
There's actually a separate employment section where students can indicate how many hours they're working. And I will say, so yes, that is an explanation. I would say you probably do want to expand upon that in case we miss that you're working full-time. It might be important to address what you plan to do when you come to Berkeley, because we are a full-time program, and so we do not have students generally who work full-time. So, and we don't have students who go to school part-time. It is a full-time program. And so if you have been working full-time, sometimes that's a question that comes up is, I wonder what the student plans to do when they come to Berkeley. Because it would, frankly, it would be impossible to work full-time and be successful in a full-time load at Berkeley. So yes, you can certainly explain that you have financial obligations, you need to work full-time, that it doesn't work out for you to participate in clubs, but do help us by just sort of pointing that out to us. There is a section of the application, I think the question might be, is there anything that hasn't been addressed anywhere else on this application that you want to tell us? And it seems like it's a pretty large field. You can put a lot in there. So that's a place where you can tell us about those things. And you can also tell us, for instance, if you have several W's on your record, if you've had to withdraw from courses, we really want to understand what happened that semester and why you had to withdraw. This would also be a good place to explain, yes, I had many courses in the strongly recommended category that were articulated, but those have not been offered at my school while I've been there. That's a really good place to let us know that too, because we won't know that information otherwise. So it's a really good part of the application to explain anything that is a little bit of an anomaly in your application. And we do read that. So do point those things out to us.
Awesome, thank you. I'm going to try to get through a few more. There are a lot of requests to talk about repeated classes. For example, if someone got a D or an F, which might be especially common right now in COVID times, and repeated the course, and especially if they passed it, how do you factor that into their GPA?
So the GPA is just their community college GPA. So it would actually depend upon how their community college factored it into the GPA. However, I would say that I would expect the student to tell us what happened in that additional information section. If we see W's, D's, F's, we really want to understand what happened that semester. And please be as open and honest as you're comfortable being, because it really helps us get the full picture. And we don't want to make a judgment based upon your academic record when we don't have the full picture. So yeah, it really depends on how the community college calculates it. That's the calculation we go with. But when we see it on the record, we would like to understand that situation.
Awesome, thank you. Since COVID-19 started, many universities are reevaluating their admission standards. Is that also true for Berkeley?
So I would say that we're following what Berkeley did during COVID, or is doing. During spring 2020, Berkeley defaulted to pass no pass grades for students. Students did have the opportunity to change it to letter grade, but the default was pass no pass. So we are allowing past grades to count for requirements that were taken in spring 20. That has been limited to spring 20. However, if the student's college has a policy where they were default pass no pass and didn't give students an option to change in summer 20 or fall 20, then we want the student to tell us that in the additional information section. So the student will not be penalized for that, but we need to know, because we won't know otherwise. So we really want the student to educate us on those types of policies.
Awesome, thank you. So little time. Okay, lots of internships are not, Marvin, this is a great one for you, are not available to international students, like NASA, for example.
Right.
Since Berkeley engineering is very competitive, how can international students that maybe have less opportunities to build their application increase their chances of getting accepted? Any ideas?
Yeah, that's a tricky question. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, lots of opportunities are not available to international students, in particular, and now that in the context we're in, there's even limited opportunities. So, what I would say is kind of to what Sharon mentioned earlier about the application process. Show there's many avenues to show and demonstrate your passion for your field. So you can do, I know a number of students have self-guided projects that they've created, especially like in programming and in the CS world, students have built entire, apps and systems self-guided, just, to demonstrate the passion for what they do. Research opportunities that you can do either at your community college or at other campuses to, again, show that you have that interest. So while things like that are typically available or that you typically would pursue to demonstrate your passion aren't available either as an international student or because of the COVID pandemic, there are other avenues that you can pursue to demonstrate that, and that are equally powerful in your application. So it's all about how you frame it and how you show that you care for your field, and to Sharon's point, what you want to do with it, right? That you show that you have a passion for it and your intention, your the impact you intend to do with it. So while not ideal, but there are avenues to demonstrate that.
Awesome, thank you. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for questions. This recording will be made available to anyone who registered, along with all of the other recordings from this month. They'll be on the College of Engineering YouTube channel, and I'll send a link out to anyone who registered through Zoom. Keep in mind, it will take a little bit of time because we want to make sure they're all edited and then get them uploaded. So please wait for that. If you have a question that didn't get answered and you have done your due diligence to figure out the answer and looked online, I am open to you all emailing me. I can't promise you that I know everything about every department, but I will give my best, or at least refer you to the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and put my email address in the chat. I think that probably makes more sense than Marvin and Sharon, who are super busy with all of our current students. But I want to thank Marvin and Sharon for their time. We really appreciate it. Thank you to all of our participants for making time for this today. We hope that it was helpful. I'm sorry we didn't get to answer every question. And we will see you all next Tuesday for our talk from Professor Matthew Sherburne. Have a good evening, everyone.